Now this could only happen to a guy like me, and only happen in a town like this. So may I say to each of you most gratefully,
I don't have any graphs or statistics or anything, but I'm pretty sure Chicago is the most segregated and most racist city in America.
Okay, Chicago is segregated for one reason or another, because we have African Americans in one area, we have white in one area, we have Latinos in another area, we have Italians in another area. So when you go into these different areas, you see.
To be completely honest with you, it actually saddens me, but I'm not surprised, because I feel like even with all the violence going on in Chicago, it's even isolated. You got neighborhoods like the Woodline area or Inglewood area. But of course, if you go a little bit past like 115th, which is considered like the Beverly area, it's like you in a whole nother world. But of course, most people that live in like neighborhoods like Inglewood and Woodline, they can't afford to live somewhere like the Beverly area. So it deeply saddens me, because the violence in Chicago is not just like Inglewood issue or Woodline issue. It's actually Chicago issue overall. I feel like if we weren't so segregated, many of these issues would not be a problem.
I think it's terrible. Like I didn't really notice it when I lived here, because I moved out south in '05 and I was living here for a while. I never really noticed it. Like for instance, at that Nike factory store on 87th, I used to work there, and like there would be no white customers in there at all. Mind you, this is the only Nike factory store in the city of Chicago, but people would rather drive from the suburbs past us all the way to Aurora, just like what is it? Like what's the deal?
Within, I think it starts from the top. If you look at a map of Chicago in the grid, you will see how segregated it is, and how many this population is this, and the growth and the ungrowth of what's going on in our neighborhoods,
I work there, but like, even like the places like downtown where we're forced to mingle, if you look at like break rooms there are always, Latinos with the Latinos, blacks with the blacks, and I mean, I don't know, I think maybe just because the neighborhood's been that way for so long, that it's just like ingrained in our culture and our lifestyle, so yeah, so I think, we need to do something about it.
For me personally, where I decide to party at, I'm actually not treated differently, fortunately, because I choose to many times party up north, where it is mixed, but overall there is more Caucasians up north. So yeah, the police, they do go up and down the street, and I've seen people drunk stumbling up and down the street, but the police choose not to pull them over. Whereas though I have been in areas in like the city of Chicago where they're predominantly black, and you have the police, they're like sitting and they're waiting for someone to come out of like a club or a lounge, and they can be they can appear to be not intoxicated at all, but because of the color of their skin, they still get pulled over. They have to take a breathalyzer test. It's just really unfortunate that once again, because we are segregated, even when it comes to us partying and just having a good time, the color of our skin is just, it's unfortunate for us. We were basically, I believe, just born the wrong way. That's the way many people look at it. So when it comes
to the clubs, it's not like there's a division between the race of the clubs or the people who go, but you can tell, even if you're the first person in the club, you can tell what kind of club it is and what kind of crowd frequents these clubs. Like, same thing, I grew up listening to hip hop, so when I was reading Double XL magazine and all this in high school, I remember they used to say, like the Funky Buddha was the hottest place in the city. Boutique was the hottest club, one of the top 10 clubs in the whole country, not just Chicago. I couldn't wait to go to them. So the minute I turned, 20 and a half, I started using my friend's ID, turned 20, I used to go to all these hip hop clubs. And that's what I knew, I would, like, again, Chicago's real segregated, so you don't really get too many chances as a young guy to intermingle with other races or other crowds. I didn't go to Wrigleyville till I was much older. I didn't go to Wicker Park. So I used to go to these clubs. It was normal for me to wait in line for 3 hours and pay $200 for one bottle of Grey Goose, or get patted down like a criminal before you even come in, or they tell you what to wear, how to dress, and You know, so it was normal. That's just what we're used to, like being into it. But then I started going to like, you know, Wicker Park and a lot of these smaller bars, and I never really got into the Wrigleyville thing, but there were certain places around the city that I started, you know, just trying different things and growing. And I was like so weird because I'd like walk up to the door. First thing I do is I, you know, put my hands up, turn around, and the bouncer looking at me like I'm crazy, like, nah, get in there. Like there's no pat down. And then you get to the front. Usually there's no cover charge. Or like you can charge $60. And then like you get in the club. And then after I started doing more of those and less of like the urban hip hop black clubs, it just felt weird. Like why are you? I'm here. I'm already paying you $50, $60 to get into a nightclub, which is crazy to me now that I'm older. But it's like you treat me like a criminal before I even walk in the door. Like, you know, like if at the door you're gonna overcharge me, making me wait in line for hours, and then pat me down like I'm some criminal, how you gonna treat me when I get inside?
I'm young, so I go to a lot of clubs, and I go to diverse clubs and I go to all black clubs. But recently, I just been going to like clubs that are filled with different races, and it's a total opposite. You know, the security is more laid back, and it's just more of a breath of fresh air. Versus when I went to like all black clubs, it was like you had to always watch your back, and the security was like treating black men like they were already up to nothing. You know, like they just came there for drama. You know, but I feel like we need to do better as the people of Chicago, because it's really unfair to young black men. It's really unfair to young women, you know, because they were just born like this. You can't just blame anybody because of the color of their skin, but the media does this, so.
This is my kind of town. Chicago is my kind of town. Chicago is my kind of people too. People